I'm standing outside my parents' house, heart pounding so hard it feels like I can barely breathe. Tears stream down my face. A phone sits in my trembling hand, glowing with the most devastating name I've ever seen in a contact list. Cash Cow. And it's my number. My own parents saved me as Cash Cow. I will show them who are real animals. Hi, I'm Miranda Thompson, and this moment changed my life forever. Growing up, my parents, Jack and Linda Thompson, were pillars of our community. Successful, admired, and always projecting the image of a perfect family. They lived in a pristine suburban house with a lush green lawn and white picket fence. It all looked so picture perfect from the outside. But inside, it felt like I was an afterthought from the day I was born. My mom and dad had hoped for a boy, an heir, someone to carry on the Thompson legacy. Instead, they got me. They tried again, of course. 2 years after I was born, my brother Ethan came along, and it was like the skies opened up and bathed him in golden light. My parents showered him with attention, told everyone he was the miracle child. Meanwhile, whenever I tried to join in, they'd sigh dramatically or wave me away like I was a pesky mosquito. One of my earliest memories is of my 5th birthday party. Actually, calling it a party is generous. I was in the corner of our living room with a small cake in front of me. My mom was busy fussing over Ethan, who was running around with a helium balloon. My dad was on the phone telling his work buddies about how one day my son will join the family business. Meanwhile, I remember staring at the unlit candles on my birthday cake, waiting for someone to notice. No one did. I decided early on I had to impress them somehow. If not for love, then at least for respect. Maybe if I got the highest grades, or if I cleaned the house until it sparkled, I'd finally see pride in their eyes. But every time I tried, all I got was a dismissive shrug and a brisk, "Miranda, take care of Ethan," or worse, "Why can't you do anything right?" "We gave birth to you," they'd say whenever I hesitated to run an errand or do some chore. "We gave birth to you. This is the least you can do." When I was 8, I overheard my parents talking to their friends, joking that if I wasn't such a disappointment, maybe they'd have more time for themselves. But that's what older siblings are for, right? A built-in babysitter? Mom laughed. Their friends giggled politely. My cheeks burned. If it was just babysitting, maybe it would have been okay. But one incident left a scar deeper than any playground scrape. I was 9, standing in the kitchen, trying to balance a tray of snacks for Ethan and his friend. Mom came in with a few of her acquaintances, people she clearly wanted to impress. As soon as she saw me struggling with the tray, she smirked. "Look at her," she said to them. "Our little helper. She's always so clumsy." They all laughed, and I felt tears stinging my eyes. But that was mild compared to what happened a few months later. One evening, Dad was watching TV with some relatives who had come to visit. My job, of course, was to fetch them drinks. I accidentally spilled a bit of soda on the carpet. Instantly, Dad's expression turned furious. But instead of sending me to my room or scolding me in private, he barked, "Miranda, you can't do anything right. Maybe we should lock you in the shed so you stop messing up everything else in this house." His guests erupted in uncomfortable laughter, not sure if he was joking or serious. I froze, mortified. In that moment, I truly thought he might drag me out to the shed and lock me inside. That fear stuck with me for years. And the worst part? Dad never once apologized. He acted like it never happened. Whenever I'd try to bring it up, he'd say, "Oh, stop being so dramatic. We gave birth to you. Quit whining and be grateful." That became their refrain. No matter how they hurt me, accusations, taunts, neglect, they'd shrug it off because we gave birth to you, as if that single fact made them immune to responsibility. Despite everything, I found a lifeline in my Grandma Rose, my dad's mother. She was warm, wise, and genuinely caring. When she realized how I was being treated, she started inviting me to her place for weekends. Her cozy little house smelled of old books and fresh bread. She'd ask about school, about my hopes and dreams. She actually listened. Whenever I was with her, I felt safe. I felt like a child, not a servant. She once confided in me that she'd tried confronting my parents about their treatment of me. "Your father is stubborn as a mule, and your mother is too caught up in appearances," she said with a sad shake of her head. "But you, Miranda, you're going to rise above this." Her faith in me was the only thing that kept me going. At school, I worked like crazy. If I could just become someone important, get into a great college, land a high-paying job, maybe my parents would look at me and see a daughter worth loving. I stayed up late studying, joined clubs, volunteered for extra projects. I hoped the relentless hustle would make them proud, but it always looped back to Ethan. He was the prized child, the future of the Thompson family. While I was saving every penny for college, he got the newest gadgets, the best tutors, and a brand new car the moment he turned 16. And every time I dared to ask why I couldn't get help with my academic fees, I'd hear, "We gave birth to you, don't be selfish." A turning point came in my senior year of high school. I won a regional academic award, something that should have been a big deal. The ceremony was an hour's drive from home, and I asked Dad if he could attend. He shook his head, said he was busy, and told me to find a ride. "Anyway," he grumbled, "you'll probably get another award someday. Don't guilt trip us." My throat closed up with disappointment, but I forced a smile. I ended up taking a bus by myself. That night, as I walked onto the stage to accept my certificate, I glanced at the empty seat where my parents would have sat. The audience clapped and cheered for me, but all I felt was the crushing loneliness of a child who'd spent her life trying to be good enough. With Grandma Rose's guidance and her promise to help with expenses, I managed to enroll in a reputable college to study investment management. The day I left for campus, Dad handed me a small envelope. I thought maybe it was a note of encouragement or some wise, fatherly words. I opened it and found a single slip of paper with a minimal check inside. "That'll help with your dorm deposit," he said flatly, then added, "Remember, we gave birth to you, so do us proud. Don't waste it." The new chapter of my life felt thrilling at first. At college, I made friends who appreciated me for who I was, not for what chores I could do. My professors praised my diligence. The scholarship I'd earned covered tuition, but everyday living expenses piled up, so I took on a part-time job at a campus cafe. Things were tough. I studied late into the night, then woke up early to serve coffee. Still, it was the freest I'd ever felt. Nobody ordered me around every second. Nobody sneered when I spilled something. For the first time, I could breathe. Then, 6 months in, my parents announced they wouldn't be sending any more money. "We need to save for Ethan's college," Mom said coolly. "That's our priority now. You'll figure it out. We gave birth to you after all. This is just a little test of your resilience." Grandma Rose stepped in again, increasing the allowance she sent me. Thanks to her, I cut back on my cafe hours and saved my grades from tanking. Even so, I longed for a single moment of genuine support from my parents. A congratulatory call when I aced an exam, a text message saying proud of you, anything. Instead, I got silence or vague criticisms. Over the next few years, I graduated with honors, magna cum laude. Grandma Rose was the only family there, cheering me on with tears in her eyes. I sent my parents a text about the ceremony. They replied with, "We're sure you did fine," and that was it. Free from college, I landed a great entry-level position at Stonebridge Investments. I poured myself into my new job. Promotions came fast. My boss applauded my dedication. My colleagues became close friends. Around this time, I met Jack, not my father Jack, but Jack Miller, a kind, funny, and driven man with sparkling brown eyes. We clicked instantly. My parents seemed mildly interested when I told them about him. "Well, we guess that's good," Dad said. "Just don't forget about your responsibilities to us. We gave birth to you, so we come first." Ethan, on the other hand, was drifting. He'd gone to a fancy college, but it ended in him dropping out. He started bouncing between odd jobs, always with an excuse for why it wasn't his fault. While I was building my career, he managed to rack up debts, partying with friends, and living way above his means. My parents bailed him out repeatedly. By then, I was earning a stable income, and my parents had the audacity to suggest, "Maybe you can help with Ethan's debts too. We gave birth to you, so you should support the family." For a while, I resisted, but guilt gnawed at me. Surely, if I helped them financially, they'd finally see me as an equal, right? So, once I was in a serious relationship with Jack Miller and we moved in together, I started sending my parents $1,500 monthly. I felt queasy about it, but I did it anyway, still chasing their approval. Jack was supportive, if a little uneasy. "Just don't let them take advantage of your kind heart," he warned. I shook my head. "They're my family, Jack." Soon after, Jack and I got married in a small ceremony. My parents showed up, looking almost bored. Ethan didn't bother to come. Grandma Rose was overjoyed, beaming at us from the front row. It should have been a perfect day, but deep down, I felt that old longing. Would my parents say anything nice? Something like, "We're proud of you, Miranda." They didn't. A year later, I had my son, Alexander. Holding him in the hospital, I vowed that I would never, ever treat him the way my parents treated me. When Mom and Dad visited, their first question wasn't, "How are you feeling?" or "How's the baby?" It was, "Do you know if you can send extra money this month? Ethan needs a new laptop." My relief at having a child of my own love was overshadowed by their constant demands. They acted as if my wallet was their personal ATM, and when I hesitated, they'd snap, "We gave birth to you. Don't be ungrateful." Still, I sent the money. Sent and sent until I lost track of what I could have saved for Alexander's future. Meanwhile, Ethan got a new car, new phone, new everything. I pretended not to notice. I wanted to keep the peace. I wanted to be loved. Then came the final straw, a Thanksgiving dinner. The house was crowded with relatives. My parents were bragging about Ethan's new possessions to anyone who'd listen. At one point, they joked about my cooking, joking about how I'd probably burn the turkey. Laughter echoed around the table. My cheeks flamed. After dinner, my 5-year-old Alexander wandered into the living room, where my mom's phone lay on a table. Moments later, my phone began ringing. I saw it was my mother's number, which made no sense. She was in the house, not on a call. Confused, I answered. Alexander's voice came over the line. "Mom, Grandma's phone says you're cash cow. It called you when I tapped the name. What does cash cow mean?" My entire body went cold. Everyone in the room went silent. I looked up at Mom, Dad, Ethan. They all stared back with varying degrees of horror. "Cash cow," I repeated numbly, the phone still in my hand. "Is that what you named me in your contacts?" Dad stammered. "It's just a joke." Mom cleared her throat. "Miranda, don't overreact." "Overreact?" I echoed, tears burning in my eyes. "I've been sending you money every month to help you. I've put up with your insults, your jokes, your demands, because all I ever wanted was some sign of love. And now I see the truth. You see me as nothing but a paycheck, a piggy bank, a cash cow?" No one spoke. The relatives watched in stunned silence. Grandma Rose looked furious, tears shining in her eyes. Jack hovered by my side, one arm protectively around me. Ethan stared at the floor. Suddenly, Mom tried to salvage the moment. She scowled at me and said, "Don't act like we owe you apologies. We gave birth to you, and we raised you. You're obligated to help us. Stop being so dramatic." That single sentence shattered any lingering hope I had. We gave birth to you. In other words, they felt entitled to my entire life, my entire savings, my entire emotional well-being. I stepped back, heart hammering. "You're right about one thing," I said, voice trembling with rage. "You gave birth to me, but you never actually cared about me. From now on, I'm done. No more money, no more phone calls, no more visits. I'm cutting you off." Mom started wailing. Dad yelled something about me being heartless, and Ethan mumbled that I was overreacting, but I didn't care. I turned to Grandma Rose, who squeezed my hand in silent support. Then I looked at Jack and Alexander. "Let's go," I said, ignoring the chaos behind me. As we left, I heard Mom shrieking about how they couldn't possibly manage without my money, Dad urging me to be reasonable. One of my aunts tried to stop me, but Grandma blocked her path. We walked out, the door slamming behind us, severing what little remained of my ties to that house. The next few days, my phone blew up with calls and messages ranging from pleas to threats. I blocked them all. I warned Dad via a succinct email that if the harassment continued, I'd involve the police. Soon, the calls stopped. Life went on, peaceful and free. I focused on my career at Stonebridge Investments, where I kept climbing the corporate ladder. I poured my energy into raising Alexander with the love and attention I'd never received. Jack and I built our life on mutual respect and kindness, not guilt or shame. If you've stuck around to hear my story, thank you so much. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment telling me which city you're watching from.